Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. Here I am. I'm going to be blowing my face off with my friend, Billy Strange.
Well,
oh, you ready for this one?
I mean, that is an intro
on.
if I've ever heard one.
I tell you, I brought him in under false pretenses and pinned him down, and now he's stuck. So he's trying to run away. I can see that, but we got him here. No, actually, this is a nice one, people. Maybe it'll ruffle some feathers. That's why I put the disclaimer at the beginning. But this is a really good conversation I want to have. And I brought Billy in because, you know, I wanted to have a little back and forth discussion on this. This is going to be really good for all of us.
It's such a one-sided conversation when you talk to yourself about it. So
true. And usually I like that because I would rather everybody shut up and just listen to me. But,
well, you know, usually win that way.
Yeah. So, but I'm figuring this time, you know, maybe it's best. You'll keep me. I think you'll keep me more controlled and all right. Here. All right, we'll go with that.
Sure.
So, what I want to talk about, Billy, and we kind of had some interesting views about this, is there's been posts a lot over the years. Actually, there's been a lot of posts popping up again with people showing model kits at Walmart. I have done a video. Do a snap right up at the middle. Yeah, it's close enough.
This way.
Yeah, get it right, would you please? Fair enough. I did a video
with my left hand. I'm only right-handed snapping thing.
It works though. It happened. Didn't you see it come up? It's right there. So
yes,
anyway,
in the explosion.
So I did a video a few years back on my vlogs that I kind of went off on my view of how I wasn't all happy and pleased about how Walmart was carrying kits. And I think as the years have passed, of course, I was told how wrong I am and what a jerk I am. And why don't you go stick it up your ass? But did somebody? Yeah, a couple people said that.
At least it's only a couple.
I get that a lot, actually. No matter what, I could say nice things and I still get that. Anyways, we're starting to see something that I talked about back then that I don't think you're all getting the total big picture. This is the thing. We're starting to see the prices kind of creep up over there at Walmart. Because when they were doing it a couple of years ago, they were considerably less than any hobby shop. It's still a better deal, I guess. But let's look at it this way. What's happening these days is, from what we know from our hobby shops, right? Especially bad in the West Coast. East Coast, you guys are kind of a little luckier. And we're going to just cover round 2 models, because round 2, that's what the majority of those kits were that were on those pictures, right, Billy?
Yes.
Yeah, they were round 2. Round 2 has a deal, and this is not a bash on round 2. If they are listening, please consider and think about it. And I understand businesses and you have contracts and but this is what has been happening. I know it to be a fact because I have a friend in the business, very deep in the business, that I learn about how it all works. I don't know what he's called, something like, you know.
Not sure.
You have told me that you see the same thing at your hobby shop and you didn't know why it's happening. So
Yeah.
let's talk about Andy and your shop. This is what's been happening. Round 2 models puts the big box stores like Walmart at the front. They say, hey, we got this new kit out. Let's say, what's the most recent one that everybody's grabbing at right now? But this has been happening for a couple of years. When the Grumpy Vega came out, I remember way back when, just recently, the 71 Demon. So a real hot item is dropping. I want to do my business at my local hobby shop because I want my local hobby shop to stay in existence. I don't even go to Walmart and buy or even look whether any of the, and I have like 3 very close by to me. I don't even go there to even look for models. I don't pay attention because if I am going to buy a model, I will pay a little bit more money to keep my hobby shop in business. I go to Andy's. I put an order in, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet. 3 weeks go by, and all of a sudden he says, they canceled my order. My distributor canceled the order because they said they never received them from round 2. Because what ends up happening is round 2 takes care of all of the big box stores first, and then they start loading up the distributors on the East Coast, and it moves over to the West Coast. By the time it gets to the West Coast, they're out of them because the companies, they don't do the big production runs that we used to see when, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even, like 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
So we're just not getting the kits. There have been releases from round 2 that Andy has still not gotten, still can't get a hold of. And he's a huge purchaser now. Now, your hobby shop, you were saying that you were just showing me some kits that you just recently got that were like, finally they got them, which I think they got them by luck almost.
Yeah, it's interesting because I notice, granted, this is coming from the perspective of somebody that has just gotten into like actually buying kits since, March. And we have 2 local hobby shops. And what I notice is I'll see new kits that get released and I will see some of the online places get them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you'll see HPI guy, hey, this is out now or it's coming soon. And so, you get excited for the kits, and I do my best to wait for the kit to hit my local hobby store because I like supporting that. I used to own a small hobby shop which had model kits in it. So I do my best to do that. Now, both hobby shops do not do any sort of discount. They don't do sales. They don't do anything like that. So I'm buying the kits at full retail price. But I do that because I like the added convenience of walking into the store, grabbing it, and hey, I'll grab paints or I'll grab something else while I'm there. That's just what I like to do. And I have the advantage of going to a local hobby store. So what I've noticed is that I will wait for the kits. And like I was just telling you, that Del Rio kit that just came out, well, not just came out a little bit ago. They just now got that kit.
Yeah.
And I waited and waited and waited. They weren't getting it in. Now, I didn't know why they weren't getting it in. I thought it could have been like maybe they were waiting to place a bigger order, or maybe their distributor had an issue, or maybe it's just maybe it's a financial thing. Maybe they had to wait. But they have a really large, especially the one shop that I go to, has a very large selection of kits. So it's always been frustrating because I really want to support them. They typically don't get the new stuff out. The exception to this, and I'll grab it. I was just there last week. They have this one. And this one is newer.
Yeah, it's like only about a month old.
Yeah. So, but they just got this in. Yeah. So I grab it. I tried to wait, but these things are finite. Like you were saying, they're not making these gigantic, huge production runs. So what ends up happening is if I end up seeing it for cheaper somewhere else, either online or at a big box store, I will end up grabbing it there because I don't know that my local hobby shop is ever going to get it.
And let me ask you, are you getting it? Are you choosing to make that decision more because you're getting a better deal or just because your hobby shop didn't get it?
It's purely because my hobby shop is not carrying it. Wow. Otherwise, I would pay full retail price and just grab it from them. Again, I like hobby shops. When we had our hobby shop, I owned one from 2012 to 2018, and we specialized in 132nd scale slot cars. So that was Scalextric's Carrera slotted NSR. And the other part of the business was model kits, automotive model kits. That's what we carried. And in 2012, it wasn't huge, but we wanted to try to see if we could like get some enthusiasm about getting people building models. And that was primarily what my dad took care of. I took care of the slot car stuff. But I did know that both sides, it didn't matter if we charged retail, slightly under retail, or like 10 or 15% less. That never changed the amount of units we ever sold of anything. And we tried so many different things to boost sales, including going from charging retail, you know, what we should be charging versus giving a discount. The biggest advantage that a local hobby shop has is knowledge, resources, service, and inventory. And when you take away the inventory part, now it's just what everybody can sell the same thing, right? If everybody's selling the same model kit, the same box, then what do you have? Well, it's either the services that I can give you, whether that's technical help, whether that's being a resource or a guide or whatever it is. You have that part, and then you have the money part. But the money part, in our experience, didn't seem to play that big of a hand in what we would sell. But we had to have the inventory. Going by what you're saying, if the inventory isn't getting to the small hobby shops soon enough, we wouldn't know that when we were doing it because we couldn't order enough. We would buy one or two of a kit as soon as it would come out. As soon as our distributor would have it, we would buy one or two. We couldn't buy big runs, you know, like 6 or 12 or, you know, cases of things. Firsthand experience, I don't know that part of it, but by going with what you're saying, you're kind of taking away part of what the local hobby shop should have an advantage of, and that would be inventory.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing, like price. I know a lot of people, especially in these days, price is king. You're happy that Walmart's carrying it because your hobby shop is charging this much for that very kit, but then you get upset when the hobby shops close down. And then there's a lot of you that are so happy that Walmart has it. They're probably yelling at us right now going, well, I don't have a local hobby shop. All I got is Walmart. Hey, I am so sorry. And most of the time you'll find out they used to have a hobby shop. Still, I know it hurts you guys a little on this that you don't have it, but if the big box stores were not put in priority, and by the way, round two isn't the only one doing it. This is becoming a common practice with a lot of the other companies too. And they're starting to not care so much about distributors who they have to sell it at a certain price and then it goes to a retailer, hobby shops. They're kind of like giving up on the hobby shops. And we got to let them know that we don't want this, because if they didn't do that, and like you were saying, it's important for a hobby shop to get these kits, whether you buy in bulk, which I'm going to cover something in that here real quick, or you're a smaller hobby shop like what you guys were, where you only bought 2 or 3 kits. But it's very important if you're only buying a kit or two, and maybe you can grow into buying more at a time, that you're able to get those kits when they drop, when they're hot, and you can sell them fast. You'll buy more. With like what Andy does is, when a kit's coming out, he pre-orders like 2 cases of what he feels that is probably going to be something hot. He waits on it. It comes out. His distributor doesn't get it. He checks back in a week. His distributor get it. After a couple of weeks, his distributor ends up canceling the order because they're not getting them from round 2. They ran out. But then when they finally do their like second run and things get going, by the time that kit comes out, Andy will maybe order 6 now because he missed that window of opportunity to get those kits sold.
That's the hard part is, again, these things are finite. They don't,
that's a great way
they don't last forever. So you get to the point, if you really wanted that kit, you kind of get into a little bit of a panic. And that's what encourages, you know, going and buying it somewhere else instead of your local hobby store. And I think that's important to also clarify here that those particular posts, at least that I saw, did not have new kits that I saw.
No, they didn't.
So just kind of like Hobby Lobby, I've gotten plenty of kits at Hobby Lobby because my local hobby shop didn't carry those because they were typically out of circuit. For whatever reason, they had kits that my hobby store didn't have, but they were typically older kits, and you do the 40% off sale. It's pretty nice to walk out of there without spending a boatload of money on 4 or
Yeah.
5 kits. Like, that's a nice score. The newest kit I've seen at Hobby Lobby is the Demon, I think.
Yeah. And that's now
And I
old.
that was one that my hobby store actually happened to get on the drop, only a few weeks after it had dropped.
Yeah. Andy
They
did
happened to
too.
have one sitting there and I grabbed it. Also, I would imagine that the large model manufacturers look at a big box store in terms of volume of sales, because how many people are walking in that either have been out of the hobby forever or maybe have never done the hobby, walk down the aisle, see that, and then somebody grabs a thing of testers, glue, and paints and whatever, and grabs it there. So there is
Oh yeah.
there is two sides to this story, where I would imagine you have people that have been out of the hobby or are new to the hobby, didn't know it existed, didn't know they had a local hobby shop at all, if they even have a local hobby shop, and they walk in and they see it, boom, it's sitting right there. That looks so cool. I want to build that. And maybe that's a gateway, for lack of a better term, to get people into. Look, I think we're kind of preaching to the choir maybe a little bit here with the
Yeah.
audience that we've garnered, because typically people that are going to be on YouTube are more invested in the hobby. They probably have a similar-ish opinion. And I also understand that people don't have a local hobby store. It's advantageous if they have a big box store to go down there, especially if they're cheaper, to grab one. All I would say is there are local hobby stores that may not be local to you, but that do sell online. You might have to pay shipping, but it'd be worth at least checking, because you might find that after shipping, they'll probably be pretty close, and you're helping, a smaller independent business of one I used to, which I used to
Yeah.
own.
Exactly.
So maybe
Exactly.
this is a little bit self-serving on my end, even though I don't have the
Well,
store anymore.
that's kind of why I brought you in, because you do know a little bit of an inside on how it works.
Quick, it was crucial to
Yep.
get the new stuff. When we had our Slotcurse stuff, that was something we could get all the new releases right when they dropped. And if we did not get those when they dropped because of a distributor thing or something else, I absolutely lost sales.
Yeah, it becomes a dead subject because there's so many avenues that they can go get them.
Yes.
And you had a very good point. And this is where I'm not against Walmart carrying model kits at a discount price. I have bought from Walmart, always took advantage of it, but it never took me away from my going to the hobby shop. That was always priority. And I like the idea of, yeah, it can grab new builders. Where I have this issue is that they're getting prioritized now. They used to not be prioritized. Hobby shops got the kits when they came out.
So is that a
They were
purely a numbers
priority.
thing, though? Is that just because the volume that they're pushing?
Yeah, that could be it, but I don't look at it that Round 2 and the other companies are doing something evil or self-serving. They're trying to keep their business going. And yes, a bulk sale that they can get from big box stores are going to help them out. But maybe if they cut it back or not make the bulk stores, because obviously the bulk stores aren't going to care. And look at, like you said, you're starting to see older kits now at Walmart and whatnot. Maybe if you start, especially new releases, putting the hobby shops first, let their distributors get first dib, load them up. You're going to find there's a lot more hobby
Right.
shops that do like what Andy does, and it's okay. And the onesie twosie stores, but that's going to help those shops grow, and it's going to help us. Where I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that would love to open up a hobby shop, and I know
I
there
miss
could
having
be a
one.
possibility. Well, what if there all of a sudden becomes an opportunity that someone starts a franchise that gives people an easier method of having their own hobby shop in a small town? That could happen. And with that being said, we can start getting more hobby shops. It's going to take us, the consumers, to guide that. And so to praise, oh, look at the cheaper price. Okay, let's go into the price too. How much more are you saving that makes it worth it? I know. Listen, everybody, I am not a money bags dude. Let me tell you, I really need to buy stuff on the cheap. I have now curbed myself from purchasing model kits because I'd rather get them from Andy's. I could get them cheaper somewhere else if I hunt it down. But I understand that point of view. But think about it. A couple weeks ago, I went to Andy's and picked up the latest version of the 67 Chevelle Pro Street. Very popular kit. He was retailing out for $27. You're seeing the prices at Walmart if you can find that kit. But let's say they have that kit, a typical kit from AMT. They have the sign, it says, $19.95, right? But when you start looking, you start noticing, I can guarantee you that this particular kit would probably be one that they would sell for, they fluctuate. That's the lowest price. They go up to about $24.95. So let's say you buy that. Let's go in the middle. Let's say it's $22.95. You grab that kit for. But if you went to your local hobby shop, they're retailing it for $27.29. Is that really that much of a savings to you? That's life or death. Because if $5-6 means that much to you, you need to put the hobby aside. If that's the difference between you and your kids eating, or you buying that model kit, you shouldn't even be buying the model kit.
Yeah, I mean, in an extreme case like that, sure, you shouldn't be buying the kit. I wouldn't begrudge somebody in like,
well,
in going and looking at walking in there and shopping at Walmart or Hobby Lobby, and they happen to be in there, they see a kit, and maybe they do go to their local hobby store, but they happen to be at Walmart today and it's on sale for $22, right? I think this is more, I think maybe the point that's being driven home here by what you're talking about is maybe more of not necessarily a B2C, so a business to consumer issue. It sounds more like a business to business thing.
Exactly.
It is 100% maybe it's not so much that people are going to Walmart and buying the kits or going to a Hobby Lobby or any of the big box stores where they could be at a slight discount all the way up to, like I said, Hobby Lobby does the every other week on a Saturday or whatever it is, they do 40% off, but they're typically not the new kits. If the priority, and not, again, I have no way of checking this, but if the priority were to be the big box stores, then what would be nice in a perfect world, what would be nice is if the model manufacturers, and maybe they do this, I have no idea. I'm just kind of throwing it out there that I think maybe the bigger point here is if the big box stores are the priority, I believe it's purely because they're selling in volume. They're selling enough that and by selling in volume that much, it also allows them to produce more kits, right? Because if that's where the bulk of the sales are coming from, because they prioritize that because of the volume that they're pushing, well, then that circles around and we get more kits. The problem becomes it gets difficult to support your local hobby store in doing that, because if they are the priority of the box stores, that is, then it makes it hard for the little guy to get the kits, to hit that first FOMO, for lack of a better term, on those kits, right? What would be nice is if there was a way that they would qualify the local hobby stores and say, we're going to give you guys your first priority. We're going to make X amount of kits, and however many you guys order, you guys are getting the first grab. And then anything we have left over is going to be sold to the big box stores.
That's
right?
Exactly what I think should happen.
It's really difficult because, again, having been a business owner from 2012 to 2018, not even now, we were basically selling a service. Everybody can carry the same parts. Everybody's got the same thing online. What's gotten even more prevalent, though, is the ability to get your information online. So even walking into a hobby store is not necessarily a viable option for some people. And if it is, this is really hard. This is a very difficult thing to navigate. Like I said, I think the magic wand, the happy solution is that if possible, it would be nice to see the model manufacturers prioritize the local hobby shops first and then let the big box stores in, which may be happening. I don't know. You would know more than me just because of your association with Andy's and having conversations with him. I don't have that. And again, my store was never big enough to even think about getting anything like that. So, we had 200-300 model kits, but everything was like onesie twosie, and we would buy collections and that kind of stuff. Maybe that's the the magic solution here if possible.
Yeah.
They could just change the prioritization, still sell your volume, still push your volume through the big box stores, but at least kind of give first dibs at least to the hobby
Yeah,
shops.
exactly. I have no issues with Walmart having that, and you're not seeing the huge difference in price anymore like you used to, where it made it a huge advantage to go into Walmart. It makes a huge advantage to people who have lost hobby shops. But maybe if the trend was to change and the hobby shops could make it by the model companies doing exactly what you're saying, give them a shot, we might see more hobby shops. That's going to benefit everybody. Plus, like my point I was making about why choosing to spend a couple more dollars and go buy from your hobby shop if you have a local one, drive by the Walmart and go there, because you also got, I mean, most of the time you have a really great hobby shop owner that allows you to hang out, and that's where people kind of, model builders tend to start hanging out and meeting up at hobby shops and hanging out. It's
That
kind
was
of like,
literally our mantra for our store,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah, a lot of
We
hobby
were
shops
trying
I
to
have known,
foster an environment.
yeah, they really, I mean, Andy's always had a spot for that in his stores, and he promotes that because it's a gathering place. Andy puts it that he likes his store to be a destination, not
Yes.
just a store, a
Yep.
retail store. People
That's
come in,
exactly
get
what
their
we try
stuff,
to do.
pay, and go. And
Yep.
so look at the little more money you pay for a model kit at your local hobby shop. You're kind of like paying your clubhouse dues. But can you go to Walmart or even to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something, and can you get the array of choices for paints, different glues, and the hobby shop will have all that, and you don't want to lose that. There's people that hear so much about, say, Tamiya extra thin paint, but they don't have a hobby shop to go get it, and Walmart definitely doesn't carry it for them. They got to order it online, and then they got to wait, and then you leave your cap off in the middle of the night. How do I know that?
He meant cement, not paint. It's okay.
Thank you for correcting me. Did I say extra thin paint?
You did, and I just didn't want somebody going to the comments.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thin paint? No,
thank you for saving me. Oh, that's why I brought him on. I leave my cap off, it evaporates, and I get to go run over to Andy's and pick it up. If you don't have a hobby shop, you can't do that. You got to order it and wait a few days. And that's all I'm saying. Look, just think about that when you praise that or and all that. That's kind of that direction. But it's really, like you're saying, the major point is the local hobby shops, or the ones that don't exist right now but could possibly exist in the future at your hometown that doesn't have one, need a little help from the manufacturers to start thinking along those terms, because it will work out for everybody. Everybody's got to work together in this.
Buying online is easy. Buying online is simple. A lot of places that you buy online from now, if you're buying from a local hobby store, are very good at customer service.
Mhm.
I purchased from Andy's. I've purchased from Scale Riders. I've purchased from Burbank House of Hobbies, Hobby Nut models, like Wes's Model Car Corner. Like, I've done business with, and every single one, the very rare time that I've had an issue, very good customer service.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just kind of one of those things where the problem is you have to go out and seek it.
Mm-hmm.
Being on here, it's easy. You go online, you click a button, you get the thing, right? And even if you're buying from Hobby Lobby or Walmart online, I get it. Like, I understand, especially when things are cheaper. You've got to pay shipping from, one of these places. I don't think that any place charges unreasonable shipping. And if you can bundle things together, you typically will pay either no shipping or your shipping will be more advantageous for you. It's a difficult problem to solve, because I also understand somebody that wants to be in the hobby. Kits don't cost $10 anymore. I get that. I understand. I would say, if possible, if your funds allow you to, see if your local hobby store has the kit first. And if they don't have it first, if you don't have a local hobby store, visit a local hobby store online. And I'm talking about new kits.
Mm-hmm.
I understand Hobby Lobby will do the 40% off sale, and those are typically kits that have been out for a while. Again, maybe it's a little self-serving, having been a business owner a small business owner of a hobby shop myself, maybe give them the chance, and maybe slowly that tide turns where not only do they get the kits, the new kits, maybe they can order enough to lower the price just a little bit for you.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I get it.
The magic wand thing theory that you brought up.
Right.
Is there a perfect spot? Maybe not, but I think there's a more perfect spot we could look at. I am not against all of the big box stores having model kits, and I was at a Hobby Lobby,
The lobby of
and
hobbying.
the lobby of hobbying, and they had a discount rack, and they happened to have one of those Mustangs, drag race Mustang.
Yeah.
And I already had a couple of them, and it's like,
It's
that's
hard
a
to say
really
no
good
to the
deal.
40% off. Like
Well,
that's
yeah,
really difficult.
this was like even cheaper than that because they were blowing it out. And it was like, I think it was $10 or something. It's
Yeah,
like,
and
I'm
it's hard.
snagging that
It's a
because
score.
it'd be good to have that because there's some great parts in that kit.
Right.
And that became a parts kit because it's nice to get a cheap parts kit. You're going to be blasting that thing into a million pieces and not building what it is.
Yeah.
You kind of want to pay less for it. I'm definitely not against that, and I do partake. It's the majority of the time, I do try to focus on, I want to prioritize that. I want to keep my local hobby shop open. And that's really kind of between that. I mean, we're almost talking about two separate things at this point, is the distribution by the manufacturers. I wish they kind of would change their way, and it would give the hobby shops a chance, and also take care of your hobby shop.
It seems to be more of just a prioritization thing. So it's just whether it's us as consumers making the priority a local hobby shop, maybe spending a few extra dollars, sometimes, not all the time. But if you like having a local hobby store, which it's kind of like going to a model show, and people,
it is.
We talk about this. I think
like going to a bar.
I think
it is.
Yeah.
It's like I call Andy's. Cheers.
I don't go to bars, but yeah, it's that mindset. It's kind of like this inherently is a singular hobby. It feels like, but I would say the best parts of this, and you guys have talked about it on your Scale Model Car podcast.
Ooh, nice plug there.
Is that really a lot of the fun here is not only building, but sharing. You've got the Facebook page, you've got group builds that happen, you've got, my brain just went right out the window. You've got model shows.
I saw that.
I hit the glitch button. You got model shows, and then hobby stores are an extension of that as well, right? They're a gathering place, model clubs, like all these things actually enhance the hobby. They don't detract from it. And I think the hard part is we tend to think of this as a singular, like me in my room, in my garage, at my bench, building a model car because, well, nobody else is building a model car with me. Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be like that. And this is kind of an extension of that. You go support the local hobby shops. Yes, it's effort. Going to a model show, going to a model club is effort. It can be uncomfortable. Maybe you don't like going out in public. Maybe you don't like hanging out with people. But I would say overall, you're going to have a more enjoyable experience going to a hobby store, going to a model car show, going to a model club meeting, even getting on a Discord or something like that with your friends and just sharing the hobby. And that's what I guess I'm trying to tie that into the reason why I think you should go to a local hobby shop if you can. At the very least, maybe buy from a local hobby shop online if you got to do it online.
Oh yeah, we have to figure out a way. No, not us. There's nothing we can do, but we are a part of it as the consumers. We have to figure out a way to make sure this all can work together. And maybe they would get a sign from how we react, and maybe even voice our opinions to the model kit companies, that maybe you should rethink how you get your product out there. I think it's going to work for you better in the end that way. I mean, at least take a look at it. Think about it. That's what I'm kind of trying to reach out to round 2 models to think about that a little. There's a lot of great hobby shops in the West here that are just getting, and they're losing that opportunity to grab that wave because they have to wait longer. So they're not going to buy as many kits.
If that's the case, then it would be nice. Like I said, magic wand, if we could make everything nice, they could get priority. Cause that's what I mean, I am fortunate enough to have a little bit of disposable income. I think there's a good amount of people that would buy too, especially if they feel like they're supporting the hobby as well. Whether that be round two, whether that's Revel, maybe not everybody, but I think a good portion of people always feel like not only are they buying something for themselves, they're also supporting the thing that lets them enjoy the hobby that they're doing.
Yeah.
So I don't think most people would mind spending a little extra, but that assumes that
That's the
they get
clubhouse.
the
Yeah.
new stuff. That's
Yeah,
the thing. The
exactly.
inventory goes back to what I was talking about in the
Yeah, it's
beginning.
going full
The
circle.
inventory, yeah, the inventory is what hobby stores desperately need, and they need the ability to move that inventory. And
Yeah.
when a new kit, if a new kit, I don't know, but I'm just saying, if a new kit goes to a big box store and it's cheaper, again, I can't bemoan somebody for grabbing it cheaper
Oh,
at one of
no,
those
no.
places,
Yeah,
especially if your local
definitely.
hobby store doesn't get it.
Yeah, I definitely am not begrudging anyone for doing that. I do it as I stated. It's just, kind of like every once in a while, think about that. Think about when you're so excited about big box store and the prices are so much lower than your local hobby shop. And that's pointing to guys who, when they say that, that means they have a local hobby shop and they're choosing to get that kit at Walmart
Yeah,
all the
and
time
again, that's what
because
I
it's
would say.
cheaper.
Right. And I would say, just if you have the ability to buy the kit at retail or close to retail price, it's new, the kit's new, I would check the local store, the local hobby shops and online hobby shops first.
Yeah,
That would just be my thing.
absolutely. Absolutely. Keep them
But,
alive.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't have control over your money and you don't have control of mine, so I'm not telling anybody how to spend their stuff.
Oh, yeah. Disclaimer, I'd say. Well, Billy, thanks for coming on and discussing this. This was great. For
Yeah.
instead of me absolutely losing my mind and blowing my face off, it's nice to have someone come on in and you had some very good points that kind of go with my points or changed my points actually. And I really appreciate that. Thanks a bunch.
I
And
appreciate you having
hopefully
me on, and I
everybody,
appreciate you keeping your face on.
yeah, that would be a mess.
Yeah.
But yes,
Probably
so
violates some
I
sort of
and
YouTube
also,
thing.
this I'm a little calm today, so that's a good thing too,
There
especially
you
an
go.
old geezer like me. I'm kind of wondering here of my decision of having you on. I kind of look at you over there. You're all nice, and you were before when I asked him, he goes, "Well, let me clean up a bit." And I'm this old disheveled
Well,
guy,
I can
but
only do so much.
yeah, but that's how we roll. Anyways, thanks a bunch for coming on. I want to thank everyone for listening to us. Kind of think about it. Let's get down and discuss down in the comments below. And by all means, if you have not seen this guy yet, he has his channel, Billy Strange Auto Modeling, right? Did I say it right this
Auto
time?
models.
Gosh, I keep screwing that up. Maybe I'll edit.
You'll get there. You'll
Yeah,
get there.
yeah, you'll get there. Okay.
You'll
Actually,
you'll figure
well,
it out.
there's a link in the description
There you
below
go.
and all that, and you could see his logo floating over his head. So definitely go check out his channel. He's really the videos are great. It's kind of you're showing some really great work that you're doing on your models and how you've done some things, but it's really great commentary. So I want to thank you and welcome you into
Appreciate that.
the world of YouTube model car building and all that jazz. And you'll probably be seeing more of him. And well, I want to thank you guys for still watching me after 7 years. I'm coming next month.
Oh
I believe
man,
it's going to be 7 years for me next month doing this
gonna
crap.
throw yourself a party?
I'm the only one who will, I guess so. And I'll probably be the only one there. BG isn't coming, I can tell you that. He won't come. And you can use the distance thing. He's way up there
Way up there
in Sacramento. I'm way down here in very hot Phoenix. Oh, yeah.
It's been hot for you, yeah.
All right. Well, I tell you what. We're going to kill this. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for checking out Billy's channel, subscribing, give him a thumbs up. And I will say, keep gluing those fingers together. Keep cutting that styrene. I'll see you guys in the next video. And Billy, what do you have to say to end this?
Have fun storming the castle.